Hello everybody and welcome. It's a beautiful day out today on March 29th. Today we will be starting a garden overhaul. This will take several different episodes. Our front garden is 17 foot wide by 41 feet long, and we will need to make it work better for us. The garden beds that we have built need to be emptied, dirt needs to be sifted, and the soil needs some stuff added to it, and I need to make sure that nothing is rotting. So we will be redoing the entire front garden. Several of our beds need to be moved. New beds need to be made because our in-ground beds are no longer serving their purpose. The in-ground beds are getting way too many crabgrasses, as you can see in the photos. It has completely overtaken two of my beds. One of the beds had herbs and purple asparagus, and the other has green asparagus. The grass has killed off most of my asparagus plants, but I do have a few left. As you can see, we have white containers. One year we bought barrels and cut them in half and used them for different plants. They made great raised beds. They are currently getting too brittle and won't last much longer, and we are needing to build more permanent raised beds. So come along with me and I will show you how I do things around the homestead. We have already emptied 3 of the 4 barrels and had to move them to a new location. The barrels do have drain holes in the bottom of them. We need them out of the way so we can build our new raised beds. I'm not sure if I will have room for 1 or 2 on the left side of our garden. I do have a pretty big space, but when you draw it up on paper, sometimes it doesn't always fit in the area that you have. We will figure it out eventually. I am working on the second barrel, making sure that there are no clumps in the soil or no rocks or big particles, and getting it filled and leveled off as much as possible. Just checking for any weeds that may be in the soil so I can get rid of them. This one is done for now. The tractor will need to be moved up so I can start the next one. It's a very short ride. Just need to move about 5 feet. Two halves of the barrels filled up our little tractor cart. The third barrel will need to be set in place, and the area will need to be cleaned. I have 3 bricks to pick up the barrel off the ground so it has a better chance of draining. I will need to set the bricks in a triangular pattern the best that I can to get the barrel leveled. It may take a few tries. This part of the barrel is actually the top part of the barrel, and it has that lip around the top, so the bricks need to be underneath that lip. The barrel will be heavy, so you don't want a lot of the pressure from the soil pushing onto the bottom of the barrel where it has a chance of breaking from all of the weight. That's why you don't want the bricks completely underneath. These barrels are not light by any means once they are filled. Now that the barrel is level, we need to start filling it with some stuff from my compost piles. Let's go. I'm going to take some big stuff that hasn't composted in the compost bin and put it in the bottom of the barrels and the raised beds. This pile has been composting for almost the past year. When we first started this compost pile on this side, it was clear to the top of the pallets. Now it is down to half, if not less than half. We did the lasagna style composting method. It has worked to a certain extent, but this pile needs to be turned, but it is very hard to turn it whenever you have vines getting caught in your pitchfork. I found something to show you. There are worms in that compost pile, so therefore I do know that we have some good soil and the worms are being fed. Let's head back to the garden so we can fill our bed. I'm grabbing a handful of soil to show you how nice my soil is. It has taken me a while to get it to look like that. I add compost and manure to my soil I found a clump of dirt that came from my garden. This is what my soil looks like. I have a lot of clay in my soil and it clumps together. It's very hard to get apart, as you can see. This is why I don't plant too much in ground. Our soil is almost nearly impossible to work with because you have to add so much amendments to it. Now it's time to get the other bed and get it set in place and just do the repeat process of the second one that I showed you. This will be the third one. Now that the third one is done, I need to bring in some help to help me with the longer beds so I can get them done. My boys came out to help me for a little while to clean out the beds and to get them moved to their new spots. My youngest was running back and forth to help my husband with his car while I was working in the garden with my oldest. This is the first raised bed that we have to empty out before we can move it. My beds are 2.5 feet wide by 6 feet long. One of my raised beds holds enough soil to fill up the little tractor cart 1.5 times. We have a lot to shovel because we have 3 raised beds that are the same length and the same width, as well as the same height. It's going to take some time to get my front garden the way that we need it to be so it's more functional for us and our family. The dirt in these raised beds needs to be sifted before it is put back into the beds after they have been moved, because we have found several rocks, pieces of rubber, sometimes there are nails or some other type of metal. When we built these raised beds, we went to one of our local big box stores and purchased several different types of bags of soil. It was supposed to be organic in-ground bed soil or raised bed soil. When we purchased about 56 bags, we found all kinds of non-organic items in the soil that wasn't supposed to be there. Oh, look there, I found some garlic. Have to plant that one. Now that the bed is empty, we need to get it picked up and moved and put in its new spot. But first, we need to take off all of the stapled plastic door weave fabric off of it. Then we need to move a few other things to get them out of the way. Those containers are very heavy because they are extremely full with last year's dirt. I'm hoping the 3 beds fit in the corner, but first we need to get the area cleaned up and prepped before we can move anything into its place. If anybody has any ideas on how to keep this door weave fabric clean, please let me know below in the comments, because I have a heck of a time trying to keep it clean. I don't want to clean up too much stuff because there are still beneficial bugs sleeping in all of the hollow sticks or leaf litter and a few other places. So you don't want to start cleaning up your beds too early or too soon, because you could disrupt those beneficial bugs. While I was on the ground, I kept hitting my knee against something and didn't know what it was. What I thought was a stump was one of our old posts for the grape arbor to the house when we first moved in, but we had to take the arbor out because it had some type of black disease. In order for us to get to it, this container must be moved. Then I need to clean up more of the leaf litter, move a few other things out of the way, just so I can get to it. Now that the area is clean, I need to get my first raised bed moved from its old position into the new position and where it's going to be. It's easier to walk it into place instead of trying to carry it, because sometimes these beds can get a little heavy or stuck on the door weave fabric. But if you haven't noticed, there is a screen or hardware cloth on the bottom of this bed, and I was having a hard time fitting it into place because there was a stump or something sticking out of the dirt in the ground underneath the bed, and I didn't want it to rip through the hardware cloth, so therefore I had to move the bed a little further towards the other garden instead of putting it where I wanted it or needed it to be. So I am just working with it the best I can. I'm adding leaf litter, sticks, and compost to the bed to raise up the level of the bed because I am short on soil. The soil in your raised beds will settle over time, and ours have settled quite a bit. So I need to add more soil or raise it up with the leaf litter and all the other things I have in my compost pile. I usually add my amendments to my soil at least a week to a few months ahead of time before I'm going to plant in the beds themselves. It just depends on what is needed in the soil and what amendments I need to add. I normally add bone meal, blood meal, and a few other organic items. I do not and will never use anything from Miracle-Gro. We haven't had the best of luck with their products, so we just choose not to use them. You are welcome to use them. But for our family, it doesn't work. All 3 of my garden beds need to be sifted, but I totally forgot about using the sifter for this bed. Go figure. There are a lot of unwanted plants in my raised beds, so you can see that I'm picking them out and throwing them away. I believe that one of those plants, or all of those plants, were medicinal plants to be used, but I didn't want them in my raised beds. You can use straw as mulch or as well as compost, or put it in your soil to help with drainage. I have bought 2 huge round bales, probably around 1,000 pounds apiece, and I have been letting them sit in my yard for the past couple years so they can break down and I can use it in my raised beds or where it's needed. In this bed this year, I won't be planting any carrots or root vegetables that need to have at least 12 inches or more. I really haven't thought about what I'm going to actually plant in this bed as of yet. But when I figure that out, I will let everybody know. As I'm finishing up this bed, I wanted to tell you that it had taken us at least 6 hours from start to finish to get 2 beds moved and 4 of the barrel halves. So it took a very long time in one day to get all of that done. We also had to remove the stump that was in the ground with a Sawzall. I'm getting close to being done, so all I need to do is put a few more scoops in to level out the bed and pick out more of the weeds. Then this bed will be ready for planting. This soil has a ton of weeds in it, so I have to try to pick them all out so they don't regrow or reseed themselves into this bed. I hope you like this video, and if you do, please like and subscribe to the channel. I will be teaching more gardening tips and tricks, as well as how to start your plants from seeds. Thanks for stopping by the homestead, and have a great day. Hope you come back to see part 2. Goodbye.